Good morning to all of you. Last class, we have started with the band pass filter and we have seen the classification of band pass filter, namely wide band pass filter with quality factor Q less than 10 and narrow band pass filter with quality factor Q greater than 10. We have seen the realization of wide band pass filter and narrow band pass filter using passive elements like resistors, capacitors, along with active elements such as operational amplifier. We have worked out few examples to understand the filter design concept. In today's class, we are going to discuss band reject filter followed by 555 timer. First, let us focus on band reject filters. The band reject filter is also called as band stop or band elimination filter. The reason for calling by this name is because the band reject filter rejects or stops specific frequency bands. The action of band reject filter is exactly opposite to the band pass filter. I mean, in the band reject filter, the band pass filter, if we compare these two filters, the functions are going to be opposite to each other. The band reject filter has got two pass bands and one stop band. A band of frequencies is attenuated by this filter, henceforth the name is called as band elimination filter. Now let us see the classification of band reject filter. Band reject filter can be classified into two types, namely wide band reject filter and narrow band reject filter. The figure of merit Q for narrow band reject filter is greater than 10, while for the wide band reject filter, figure of merit Q will be less than 10. The frequency response of narrow band reject filter shows a notch or a spike in its frequency response. Henceforth, the filter is called as a notch filter. The bandwidth of the notch filter is going to be very small as compared to the wide band reject filter. Now let us see the circuit realization of wide band reject filter. The definition of wide band reject filter is wide band reject filter has got quality factor Q uh, less than 10. Wide band reject filter consists of high pass filter section and low pass filter sections, similar to the wide band pass filter. But wide band reject filter additionally it has got a summing amplifier. Now let us see the circuit diagram of wide band reject filter. The circuit diagram of wide band reject filter is as shown here. It contains three operational amplifiers. The gain of this can be called as A1. The gain of the bottom op amp can be called as A2. Finally, gain of summing amplifier can be called as A3. We can see here the bottom filter, which is a low pass filter. The reason being the resistance is following the capacitance. The upper filter is a high pass filter because the capacitance is following the resistance. For both the filters, high pass filter and low pass filter, there is a common input signal. That's a signal that needs to be filtered. And the gate determining components for both low pass filter and high pass filter are RF dash and R1 dash, whereas gate determining component for high pass filter here is RF and R1. The output coming from these low pass filter and high pass filter are summed up using a summing amplifier here, and we have an optional load resistance in the circuit diagram. So now let us go through the points with reference to this wide band reject filter. The figure 1 shows the circuit diagram of wide band reject filter, and here two conditions are to be satisfied for the satisfactory operation of the filter. Let us see those two conditions here. The low cutoff frequency FL of the high pass filter and high cutoff frequency FH of the low pass filter that needs to satisfy this condition. The condition is FL should be greater than FH. We know that FL is applicable for high pass filter and FH is applicable for low pass filter. So the condition is FL should be greater than FH. That is the first condition to be satisfied for the satisfactory operation of this wide band reject filter. The second condition is the pass band gain of both high pass and low pass sections must be equal. We cannot have unequal pass band gains. So therefore, pass band gains of both high pass and low pass filter must be equal. The design of overall filter is based on the individual design of the various sections. The meaning of this is the overall filter design, wide band reject filter design, is based on the low pass filter design and high pass filter design. The gain of summing amplifier here, where it receives signals from both low pass filter section and high pass filter section, is said to be 1, which is unity. And also for simplicity, in the summing amplifier, we assume resistance R2 equals R3 equals R4, which is equal to R. So from this, we can estimate the offset minimizing resistance ROM. So we can go back and see the circuit ROM is employed here. So resistance of this is equivalent to the parallel combination of R2, R3 and this RF. So now let us see here R2, R3 and R4. So if you compute parallel combination of these all three and if I assume that's equal to R, the ROM becomes R by 3. Both high pass and low pass sections provide attenuation in the stop band, that is between the high cutoff frequency and low cutoff frequency. Now for frequency less than higher cutoff frequency, the transmission is due to the low pass section, that we can see from the frequency response. And for the input frequency greater than lower cutoff frequency, the transmission is due to the high pass section here. So here the role will be taken by both low pass filter and high pass filter according to this frequency classification here. Once again, for the frequency f less than fh, low pass section will become activated. For the frequency f greater than fl, high pass sections become activated. The frequency response of the wide band reject filter is shown here. This is a gain versus a frequency plot here. We have a pass band from 0 to fh. We have another pass band for the input frequency greater than fl. And between fh and fl, we can see there is a stop band here. So these band of frequencies that lies between fh and fl are attenuated. So therefore, the band between fh and fl is called as a stop band. And the maximum gain is AF, and if we decrease that by 3 dB, which is equivalent to 0.707, that gives us the bandwidth here. So bandwidth for the wide band reject filter is FH minus FL. So therefore, this is the frequency response of wide band reject filter. The center frequency of wide band reject filter is given by square root of the product of FH and FL. Now let us take an example to understand the wide band reject filter design. In this example, we need to design a wide band reject filter for the higher cutoff frequency fh equals 400 Hz, lower cutoff frequency fl equals 2 kHz with a pass band gain of 2. Now let us see the solution for this example. The given values of the frequencies are higher cutoff frequency is 400 Hz, lower cutoff frequency is 2 kHz. Now let us see the high pass section filter design. So for high pass section, FL is applicable, which is given as 2 kHz, and we are going to assume capacitor value as 0.01 microfarad. The capacitor value for all the filters should be assumed as less than 1 microfarad. Now we can use the formula FL equals 1 divided by 2 pi RC. Here, since capacitor value is known, capacitor value is assumed here, the R value can be estimated since we know the lower cutoff frequency. Substituting here FL value, capacitor value, R value can be estimated. So on calculation, simplifying and calculating, the R value is found to be 7.957 kilo ohm. Now let us see the design of low pass filter section. For low pass filter section, higher cutoff frequency is applicable. So FH equals 400 Hz. So let us assume C dash, the capacitor value, as 0.05 microfarad. Once again, we can use the same frequency formula FH equals 1 by 2 pi R dash into C dash here. R dash can be estimated by substituting all the values FH and capacitor values. So R dash is found to be 7.957 kilo ohm. And here the gain of both the sections must be equal to 2 in this case. So AF equals 1 plus RF by R2. So here, since it is equal to 2, let's assume that RF and R1 both are equal to the ratio of RF by R1 equals to 1. So this is equivalent to RF equals R1. Let's assume that value as 10 kilo ohm. Now for summing amplifier, let's assume the gain to be 1. So already we have assumed in the while explaining R2, R3, R4 that should be equal to R. Let's assume that value as 10 kilo ohm. So from this we can calculate offset minimizing resistance value ROM equals R by 3. So in this case it is 10 by 3, that becomes 3.33 kilo ohm. So therefore ROM equals 3.33 kilo ohm. Now let us see the frequency response of for this example. So here we have seen that there is a pass band from 0 to 400 hertz, and there is a pass band again, another pass band from beyond for the input frequency beyond 2 kilohertz. There is a stop band between 2 kilohertz and 400 hertz. The center frequency can be calculated by taking the square root of these two products. That's value is found to be 894.427 hertz. So we have all three bands here: pass band, two pass bands, and one stop band. The maximum gain is AF equals 2 here, and 0.707 times AF, that gives us the bandwidth as 2 kilohertz minus 400 hertz, which is 1600 hertz. So these values can be substituted in the circuit, so that completes our design. So you can see all values that we have estimated in the example as are substituted here. This is complete the filter design, wide band reject filter design. So as I mentioned already, the center frequency FC equals root of FH into FL. That's value is found to be 894.427 hertz. Now, so that completes wide band reject filter. Now let us focus on another filter where quality factor is going to be greater than 10. That filter is called as narrow band reject filter. So the narrow band reject filter, as we have mentioned already, it's called as notch filter because there is a frequency response which is in the form of a spike. So that spike we call as a notch here. The notch filter name is due to the characteristics shape of its frequency response. So because of this reason, the narrow band reject filter is called as a notch filter. The stop band of this filter is very much narrow, that we can see from the frequency response. Where we can use this narrow band reject filter, especially to reject a single frequency, such as in power lines, okay, where we need to reject some frequencies, especially when there is a noise which interrupts the power lines. Under such circumstance, we can use narrow band reject filter. Some frequencies we can reject it, so there this circuit becomes applicable. Not only in high power lines we can use this band reject filter, but also in biomedical instrumentation field, and also in blanking of control tones in the telephone lines. These two, in these two applications, the band reject narrow band reject filter can be used. Uh, the band reject filter or notch filter eliminates a particular unwanted frequency. So we'll see that from the frequency response. Now to construct circuit of narrow band reject filter, we can use here. Uh, First we can check with the passive network, and once we understand the concept, we can drive the signal coming out from this passive network into the op amp. So if you observe this notch filter or narrow band reject filter, there are two uh, T networks here. The one T network is formed by two resistances here. This is how the T network is formed here. This is one T network. Another T network is formed between the two capacitors here, and one resistance in this case here. So there are two twin T networks here, which is formed by two resistances and one capacitance, and two capacitance and one resistance here. So using this, the two twin networks, we can construct the notch filter here. Now let us see this, the signal coming out from this filter. Since we are discussing active filters, thus we need to use here active component as an operational amplifier along with the passive elements here. So you can observe here the two resistances has got one capacitance which is whose value is 2C, whereas two capacitances which are in series has got resistance R by 2, which is in parallel here. So this twin T networks works like a notch filter. Okay. Now let us see that the frequency of operation here. The notch filter consists of two T networks. One consists of two resistors and one capacitor. We have seen this already in the circuit diagram. While other consists of two capacitors and one resistor here. The notch frequency can be estimated using this formula Fn equals 1 by 2 pi Rc. Here we can use the value of Q or figure of merit for the passive network is very low. Hence, active notch filter which uses twin T network is preferred in practice. So because of Q value, to increase the value of Q, we prefer active network, active the circuit active device which is operation amplifier along with the passive elements here. The overall active notch filter circuit is as shown here. We have twin T network here. Let's see the signal is applied here which needs the filtering is applied here to the twin T network here. The signal coming out from the T network is applied as an input to the operational amplifier here. So op amp here functions like a voltage follower here. Okay. So the capacitor value in this design is preferred to be less than 1 microfarad, and the notch frequency can be calculated using this formula 1 by 2 pi RC here. So here the RNC components used eliminates a specific the frequency bands here. We'll see how that eliminates through the frequency response of this notch filter. For the best performance of the notch filter, the components used must be precise here. So that must be accurate here. So and also it must be close to the design values here. The frequency response of notch filter is as shown here. So we have gain versus frequency plot here. We have again here the two pass bands. One pass band is from 0 to FH and another pass band is beyond FL. And the frequency band that gets eliminated is between FH and FL here. So that determines the bandwidth. FH minus FL determines the bandwidth. So this is the practical filter response of active notch filter. But the ideal filter response is somewhat different here. We have just a center frequency Fn for the ideal uh, uh, active notch filter. Okay. Now to use two resistances as we have seen in the twin T network here, we can use to get the values equivalent resistance values R by 2. We can use two resistor values in parallel combination, and to get the 2C capacitor value, we can use two capacitors in parallel combination. We know that resistance in parallel of equal value is equal to R by 2, and the capacitors of C which is in parallel combination equals 2C. Capacitor gets add up and resistance get multiplied and divides by the sum. Okay, so these two components are employed in the twin T network. We'll see this when we solve a problem. Okay, and work out an example, we can explain this concepts once again. So the notch filters used in the communication circuits and biomedical instrumentation, like the instruments like ECG signal, ECG instrument, that uses this notch filter especially to remove the line noise. Okay. Now let us take the filter design example. Here the problem is design a notch filter to eliminate 120 hertz hum is given. Okay, that's a noise here basically. That hum we need to remove here. So for that we need to design a notch filter or narrow band reject filter. The frequency to be eliminated is the notch frequency Fn, which is given as 120 hertz. We can choose capacitor value 0.33 microfarad. That's assumption. So capacitor values can be preferred any value which with less than 1 microfarad here. In this, for the sake of simplicity, we prefer the capacitor value as 0.33 microfarad. We can substitute this capacitor value in the this notch frequency formula Fn equals 1 by 2 pi Rc. Since we know capacitor value, notch frequency is known, a resistance value can be calculated. If we substitute all these values, resistance value is found to be 4.01 kilo ohm. Now let us see the design of the notch filter. So since R by 2 uses, we have seen already R by 2 is nothing but two resistances in parallel combination, where each value is going to be 4 kilo ohm can be used. The example is shown here. To get R by 2, we can use two 4 kilo resistances in parallel combination here. To get 2C capacitor values, we can use each capacitor values of 0.33 microfarad in parallel combination here. Therefore, this is equivalent to 2C, whereas this resistance in parallel combination equals to R by 2. So this whole circuit forms a twin T network. The signal that needs filtering is applied as an input to the twin T network. This passive network here uh, uh, eliminates certain frequency bands, and that's again the output of this twin T network is applied as an input to the operational amplifier. So this completes the narrow band reject filter design. So therefore, in this topic, we have covered, we have introduced the design of band reject filter, and we have seen the classification of a band reject filter, namely wide band reject filter with quality factor less than 10, narrow band reject filter which has got a quality factor Q greater than 10. This narrow band reject filter also called as notch filter. And we have seen the circuit realization of wide band reject and narrow band reject filter along with the frequency response. And we have solved examples to understand the filter design concept here. So that completes the filter design. So far we have discussed various types of the filter designs, namely the low pass filter, high pass filter, band pass filter, and band reject filter. So overall here the students has to understand the various types of the filter designs. In examination perspective, the examiner may ask you to explain the filter design, or they may ask you to solve the problem on these filters. Now let us move on to the next topic, which is of our interest is triple five timer, and we'll see some applications that is built upon the triple five timer. Okay, so triple five timer is very popular and it's widely used in almost all applications. Let us see that what are the application that makes use of triple five timer. As the name suggests, it is basically a timer. When we want to create a delay, or when we want to create, the establish, the certain, the clock signals, then we can use triple five timer here. So triple five timer is available in the form of integrated circuit. So it's the most versatile kind of integrated circuits, and introduced by many companies. Many industries are manufacturing this IC, triple five timer IC. For instance, Signetics is one a company that manufactures triple five timer since from the 1970. Uh, the naming given by the Signetics is SERNE triple five. So this is in the commercially triple five timer is available in this naming convention. Okay. Uh, Triple five timer is basically a timer circuit that can be used to create a delay from few microseconds to hour-wise. Used in variety of applications, namely the monostable multivibrator, astable multivibrator, a RAM generator, missing pulse detector. In all these applications, we can use triple five timer here. So monostable multivibrator is basically a multivibrator which has got just one stable state and one quasi-stable state. Here, the multivibrator stays in one state until unless we apply the triggering pulse. Once we apply triggering pulse, it moves to another state. So that means here, external pulse is required to change the state. So such multivibrator circuits are called as monostable multivibrator. Whereas in astable multivibrator, again there are two states even in this multivibrator. That's why it's called multi-vibrator. Multi means it has got more than one state. And here the states, the circuit keeps the switching between the two states without any external triggering pulse here. In a nutshell, monostable multivibrator also has got two states. Astable multivibrator also has got two states. Monostable multivibrator expects triggering pulse to change its state, whereas astable multivibrator doesn't need any external triggering pulse to change its state. We have a ramp generator. We can generate the linearly increasing the signal. That's called ramp. And also missing pulse, any pulse in the series of the pulses a series of the waveforms, the missing pulse can be detected using this timer circuit. So triple five timer is a monolithic timing circuit that can produce accurate and highly stable time. So this is one of the best circuit to generate the delay, stable time delays, and also it can be used as an oscillators also. Okay. Okay, the timer basically operates in one of the two modes. We have seen already monostable, which is also called as one shot multi-vibrator. The astable multivibrator is called as a free running, since we external pulse is not required here to change its state. So it's a free running kind of the multi-vibrator here. Okay, here the external pulse is required to change from one state to another state. Until unless without applying external pulse, state will not be changed in case of one shot. It remains in one stable state. Okay. Next is going to be we'll see the pin configuration of this in detail. This triple five timer. So triple five timer comes in 8-pin metal can package, and it's a dual inline package, and also it comes in a 14-pin dual inline package also. Okay, so we'll see the connection diagram of triple five timer. Triple five timer has got comprises the various components inside that. Triple five timer consists of relaxation oscillator. It contains RS flip flop, comparators, and there's a transistor which is called as a discharge transistor here. In a nutshell, this triple five timer comprises these four major components here. Okay. Now let us focus on the RS flip flop. Later on we can take overall triple five timer block diagram and discuss how this triple five timer functions. Now let us focus on the RS flip flop. So this is a circuit diagram, transistor based circuit diagram of RS flip flop, and this can also be called as a multi-vibrator. So as we have said already, this multi-vibrator has got two states here. One of them is Q here, this output, and the other one is going to be the Q bar. So we have here transistor which are labeled as Q1 and Q2. We can observe here the output of one transistor is the input of other transistor here. So you can see here the Q1 output which is here, that is an input for the Q2 transistor. So this is called as a loop basically. So these transistors are cross coupled, so that Q1 is controlled by Q2 and Q2 is in turn controlled by Q1 here. Okay. And there are two inputs for this circuit or this flip flop circuit. One is called as a set input, other one is called as reset input here. And the resistance here at the base of two transistors are labeled as RB here, and the resistance at the collector terminal is labeled as RC. So this total circuit is now it's called as RS flip flop here. Now let us see the function, how the circuit works. Okay. The function can be explained by assuming some states here. Let's say, for example, this. Let us assume for some conditions here. Let us say S is equal to 1 and R is equal to let us say 0 is applied here. So if S is equal to 1 here, so S1 means it's a high pulse here when we apply this condition here. So as we said here, this is the input for Q1 transistor. So this transistor will be turned on whenever high level signal is applied at the S input here. Usually we apply a pulse here, so high pulse here. So when we apply high pulse here, that turns on this Q1 transistor. So this itself, when this turns on here, obviously from supply the complete current goes to the ground here, because this transistor is turned on here, and once supply maximum current goes to the ground here, the voltage at this point becomes very less, and approximately this voltage can be 0. So this is also an input for the Q2 transistor. So once this voltage here drops to 0, so the input voltage for the Q2 transistor becomes 0, therefore Q2 will be off. So when we apply input to the S input here, Q1 becomes on and Q2 becomes off here. So because the base voltage it is not sufficient to turn on this Q2 transistor, so therefore Q2 is off here. Once Q2 is off here, the voltage here will be very high, so that Q will be in 1. Since Q and Q bar are complementary kind of the outputs here. When Q is 1, Q bar has to be 0 here. Okay, so this is how the circuit works here. So for S is equal to 1 and R is equal to 0, if I assume this combination, that makes Q as 1 and Q bar as 0. Even if we assume in the reverse way, say R is equal to 1 and S is equal to 0, so that makes Q bar as 1 and Q as 0 here. That's how the circuit functions. Now let us see various details of this RS flip-flop. The figure shows the RS flip-flop. It has a pair of cross-coupled transistors. We have seen already this is cross-couple. This kind of connection is called as a cross-coupling, where base of this circuit comes from the collector of the Q1, whereas base of Q1 here, this comes from the collector of Q2. So this kind of connection is called as a cross-coupling kind of connection, where each collector drives the base of opposite transistor through the resistance RB. We have a resistance here RB, which is driving the base of this Q1. The working is also explained here. If Q2 is in saturation, this is a Q2. If I assume this is going to be in saturation, then its current voltage is almost 0. That means if I assume that this is going to be on, because of R as R will be applied as logic 1, or high voltage here, Q2 becomes on, Q2 is in saturation, its collector voltage will be almost 0. Its collector voltage drops because maximum signal goes to the ground, so therefore here collector voltage drops. Okay, so collector voltage is almost 0, which cannot drive the base of Q1, hence Q1 is in cutoff. So here collector voltage drops, and therefore this cannot drive the base of Q1, and Q1 is in cutoff. So we started with assuming assumption Q2 is in saturation, so therefore Q1 will be in cutoff region. And if you assume vice versa, if Q1 is in saturation, Q2 has to be in cutoff. So these two transistors cannot be in the same state. If this is in saturation, Q2 is in saturation, Q1 has to be cut off, and if Q1 is in saturation, Q2 has to be cut off. Okay, so that's what we have discussed so far. As Q1 is in cutoff, its collector voltage is at VCC, so its voltage rises obviously because this transistor is in cutoff. The voltage here rises. It goes to the VCC, which drives the base of Q2, because this is driving the base of Q2 and ensures that Q2 is in saturation here. This class coupling is very important to understand the concept here. And if you assume other condition like if Q2 is in cutoff, Q1 will be in saturation, is already explained. The circuit ensures that one transistor operates in saturation and other will be in the cutoff region here. Okay. So the two outputs of Q and Q bar are taken from the two collectors here, and we can represent this RS transistor based RS flip-flop in the symbolic way, which is shown here. The S is called as a set input, R is called as a reset input, Q is called normal output, Q bar is called as a complement output here. So the same thing is explained here. This is symbolic representation of RS flip-flop. The two inputs are set input and the reset input here, and there are two outputs which are Q normal output, Q bar is the complementary output here. So with the help of S and R, Q can be made high or low. We have seen that applying S is equal to 1 and R is equal to 0, we can change we can make Q and Q bar as 1 and 0. Okay, so that just output states can be changed by applying the input signals at S and R. So these are the input signals, and these states can be changed accordingly. Now let us understand the overall working of this RS flip-flop through this truth table here. So when we have both the 0-0 combination for both S and R, that means we are not applying any activating signals at set input and the reset input. The RS flip-flop remains in the previous state. It doesn't change its output state. So Q will be in the previous state. That is no change. You cannot see the output. When we make S as 0 and reset input as 1, so the flip-flop, that means we need to reset a flip-flop. That is because reset signal is applied at 1. So Q becomes 0. So we have already seen this working. So now we are analyzing only the truth table. So to change its state from reset to set, we need to change S input as 1 and R input as 0. So therefore, when we do this, Q becomes 1, which is in high state here. Last state is called as a forbidden states, where you cannot apply simultaneously S as 1 and R as 1. So it enters into the RESI conditions here. So therefore, we strictly suggest not to apply both input signals as 1 and 1. This combination has to be avoided here. So that this completes the RS flip-flop, one of the important component in triple five timer. The rest of the components we'll discuss in the next class. We have come to an end of today's class. So to summarize, in today's class we have seen design of the band reject filter, both wide band reject filter and the narrow band reject filter, and following that we have discussed. We've introduced a triple five timer, and following that we focused on RS flip flop here. So next class we'll continue with triple five timer, and we'll discuss two important application of triple five timer, namely a monostable multivibrator and astable multivibrator. That's all for today, and thank you for watching the lecture.